few mixed reviews about that kind of intro last time around, but this time it's probably going to be the same mixed reviews. That's the intro at the moment. I don't know if I'm going to change it. Like I said, mixed reviews, we'll see how it gets on. Right now, well, let's actually focus on what I want to talk about today, and it's somewhat of a controversial tactic, and I'm sure there'll be, people who are irrationally going to kind of condemn what I'm going to say, and some will kind of see the point that I'm trying to make. Hopefully, fingers crossed, we'll find out, which kind of bracket you stand in. So, as you can see, the topic from this is Faze versus Optic. So there's a few things I've got to get out of the way first. First of all, massive congratulations to Optic Gaming. Winning the MLG World is a fantastic achievement and probably just the jewel in their crown at the end of the year for AW, of which, undoubtedly an incredible performance throughout the year. Being in almost every single final is something that, almost any team would pay their left arm to get to. The other thing I've got to talk about is an apology. So I put out a tweet while watching MLG Worlds from home. And it was talking about this Faze versus Optic rivalry, and I was actually in a call with a few pros that weren't there, and I was talking about the comparison between Optic and Faze, and my tweet I put out was about the comparison between Optic and Faze, but I was more talking about the actual roster in terms of a 4 against Optic's 4 and Faze's 4, which is the better 4, and I worded it badly, which, is bound to happen occasionally when you try to put something complex into 140 characters. Of course, it's got some flaming. Some people actually saw the point I was trying to make, which is what I'm going to cover in this video, but some people really didn't, and some people were very, very angry at what I said, and called me, accused me of being biased, which is first of all, just laughable. Mainly because I actually quite good friends with several people on Optic. I've hung around with them at events. I've not just caster-player relationship, but I've spoken to these guys on a personal level, at least a little bit anyway. Which is just ridiculous that I would ever hate a team. Well, why would I ever hate a team unless they've done something wrong to me? But yeah, apology if you kind of misinterpreted that or you thought I was being biased or anything like that. I generally not. I generally, try to keep it out of it. If I'm watching an event, I'll generally have maybe a team or a few players that I kind of root for or want to do well. But outside of that, when I'm casting or professional opinion, it's nothing to do with that, honestly. So this brings me on to the next point, quite nicely. Faze versus Optic. The reason I'm talking about this is, and the reason that tweet was made is talking about a core 4. Optic versus Faze. Now, obviously, Optic, if you're going to take it year long and you're going to just go Optic brand versus Faze brand, that's it. It's Optic. It's every day it's Optic. I think it's 12 out of 13 or 13 out of 14. I think it's 12 out of 13. Finals with multiple wins is unimpeachable. I cannot even compare that to Faze, alright? Because they're probably the team that comes closest. Not even close. 100% agree with you. If that's the point you thought I was trying to make, you're wrong. I'm not putting Faze Optic in that, regardless. The point I was trying to make is talking about, a 4. At what point, the 4 players in Faze and the 4 players in Optic, which is the better kind of 4. So, you're going to have to compare the kind of the core of both. So, full Faze roster now, full Optic roster now, with Karma, Crim, Scump, and Formal, and obviously going up against Clayster, Zuma, Attach, and Enable. So this is where it gets a little bit complicated and a little bit complex because, that's what we're comparing here and not the entire year, which is the better squad. And obviously, this is, a debate that is going to rage for a little while here, and I can see both sides in the argument. As that Optic have never beaten Faze, and somehow Faze didn't do well at this tournament. There's another tournament they didn't do well in. I think it was... I can't actually remember now which one it was. I'll go back and have to kind of have a look. But this is, this is the question I genuinely want to ask. Who do you think is the better core 4? Now, if we're talking about core 3, you're going to take Crimzix, Scump, and Formal, and they would be the best core 3 in the game because of their wins and their achievements, and basically unimpeachable anyway. You can't, because they've been a core 3 for a long time, so that's a length of time. If you're going to talk about, all 4, I mean, apart from them, the best 3 players in this year, I mean, you're maybe talking Enable, Clay, Attach, maybe? Yeah, I think so. I think that's where you would put. Anyway, so this is the point I was trying to make here. Now, obviously, Nade, Crimzix, Formal, and Scump had a really good start of year. A great start of year, right up until that tripping over at Champs, which is forever going to put a blight on their career this year because it's the biggest tournament of the year. But they fell over. But apart from that, stellar, unreal numbers. Now, this Faze team wasn't about that. It was denial and there was a few other things going on. But yeah, that team wasn't about. Then Faze came about, which seems like Optic's kryptonite because they haven't beat them, and the only time they've Optic have gone forward is when Faze have gone out early. And everyone's kind of spoke about those two teams being way above everybody else. Although towards the end of the game, I don't think that was quite true. Which is the better squad, and this is the great thing here is I actually still don't know. I would lean towards altogether it's Optic, but they haven't beat Faze, and this is the great thing, right? If you're genuinely a fan of esports. First of all, rivalry. I love a good rivalry. We had it in Europe for 2 or 3 years, TCM and Epsilon. And players changed in and out, It was fantastic. But the great thing was that you could thread that throughout an entire event. It's like, we want to see TCM Epsilon in the final. We think it's going to be TCM Epsilon in the final. And then if TCM or Epsilon struggled somewhere, or if they lost a game against somebody, you'd be going, well, does this mean that TCM might win this event now? Because we know these two teams are going to probably match up in the final. And you do this exact same thing with Faze and Optic. You say, Faze don't look great this weekend, or Optic have had a shaky start. Does that mean Faze will win this at the end? And it's a great thing to kind of cultivate and bring forward. Trust me, I know we had it for years in Europe. It's this great rivalry, and obviously the fans are taking this rivalry to heart. And some go one side, some go the other side. Some, with no preference, just love to watch good Call of Duty, which is actually myself. Just kind of want to see what happens, event per event, Is this going to happen again? I mean, there's a double best of 7 that Faze won, but then they crashed out at Worlds. They didn't even get to play them. So Optic, were the better team at that event. But this is where you go, right? If you're an Optic fan, you're going to go, Optic are the best, We've won, almost every single final. Look at our wins. We are the best, right? Our team is ridiculous. If you're a Faze fan, you're going to go, still haven't beat us though, have you? If you're a COD Esports fan, you'll be sitting here going, why the hell didn't they play at Worlds? I'm so disappointed. It left me feeling a little bit hollow, if I'm honest. I want to see how they stacked up. Would it be another Faze victory, or would Optic finally overcome that squad and beat them? And that was the storyline I was looking for, and it was, like I said, and I think that's what kicked off my entire debate about this entire thing. And I'm sure people are sitting there looking at comparison between the two squad and who's MVP of the year. I put this out down there. And there are so many kind of people from both squads coming into this here. I mean, you say both teams had a fantastic year. Even Faze, if you take Faze's year, like Enable won 2 with Optic when he was with them. And then, you got Clay and Attach have done unbelievably well. They won the World Championships, so they're the World Champions. I even saw actually earlier a little graphic of the earnings here. Obviously, the COD Championships puts those members above everybody else. So not by a lot, though. A lot of Optic Gaming members go over 100 grand without the necessary, COD Champs super boost. But yeah, that's kind of this video. But I'd love to hear your thoughts. As I said, a lot of these videos are going to be discussions. I want to kind of hear your view on it. I'm sure there'll be some people who just, have heard irrational things here, because I'm still not entirely sure. Like I said, I would love, and this is the problem. We do this a lot here, is the hypotheticals, right? What would have happened if this Faze team existed all year long? But is it a different dynamic? Is the meta evolved the entire way through the game as well? You've got to remember that. Things have changed up with players. We've had new maps put in. We've had, capture the flag taken away. So this game has changed throughout its history. In just 1 year, we've had all this different kind of up and down per event. So this is more which side do you go on to? Is it the Optic side or is it the Faze side? Now, I've laid out some of the basic arguments for you. And self-confess, I don't know everything. I'm sure there are other points there. Like I said, when I got some of these replies, some of them were fantastic. Some of them were just abuse. I blocked you guys. You're blocked. Done. But some of these were great arguments. They had some great arguments, and that's why I like on my Twitter, I like on my videos. Let's talk about this, because if I talk about it with the fans, I talk about it with the players, I talk about it with other casters, then when I'm actually casting or hosting a panel, then I can bring this up again, and we can have more insight into it, and we can develop this storyline that goes through. But so, I'm sure you've all got your own opinions, or rough opinions, or if I've, see if I've put some other stuff into that mix about what you think, and this all boils down to my personal favourite question. This is the point I want to get to here. Next game, who do you think is going to win the first LAN? Honestly, if I'm going to put mine on the line here, and I'm going to put it on the line for a very good reason. I think the Optic team has a better chance of winning that first LAN because of their pedigree. I think the players in that squad are, they've got this massive pedigree. We know they're not going to just suddenly go to shit. We know that, right? I'm not saying Faze will. I'm not saying that will at all. I'm just saying, based on the history of these players, based on the pedigree in Optic, that enormous strength and depth that they've got, which is something we've talked about all year. Gonna go with Optic. If you disagree with me, absolutely fine. Give me your reasons. Give me a constructive, comment down below. Let me know what you think. Make sure to subscribe. Follow me on Twitter. If you're gonna abuse me, that's fine. Just expect to be blocked. And I'm not really up for this. I like conversations. A conversation I can react to. But there we go. This has been another video. I've been Bricetacular, and I'll see you next time.